Right. So, welcome to the first episode of the Flying Fluffy Sports podcast. Those of you who are fans of this channel, subscribers, been with me a long time, you know that mainly the channel has been up to now hockey with a few days of football thrown in and doing something a little bit different now. This has kind of been gnawing at me for a while to do and we're in our fifth straight day, sixth straight day of just horrible weather outside because we have the remnants of Hurricane Ian just plopped right down on top of us. And I guess this was finally got me up and motivated to do this. And also there's enough big stories in the sports world right now to start off. So this show is going to be I don't want to promise that it's going to be daily. I'd like it to grow to the point where it would be a viable daily podcast, but we'll see how that goes. The idea behind this show is look, all I talk is hockey, right? And occasionally somebody on a live stream will ask me a football question, and I try to answer it as quick as I can because it pisses off the hockey people when I'm talking football. This show is going to be different. Now, I will talk hockey if there is a large story going on in the hockey world, but I'm going to try to expand to cover all manner of sports, talk about the issues, talk about the bigger things that are out there. For those of you who have known me long enough, you know my brain works a little bit differently than everybody else's. I tend to have different and unique takes on things. And especially these days, like on Twitter, social media, trying to have different takes than everybody else just gets you killed because you're trying to explain something in a sentence or two and it just doesn't work. So I've been thinking about doing this all summer long. So let's get this started. Um, what you will notice, I do not have any paid sponsors right now, but what you will notice is I will do the best I can to put in a natural break in between stories so that when there are ads placed at each break, uh, what I guess what I'm saying is I'm not going to just randomly place ad breaks where I'm in the middle of making a point or middle of a sentence and it breaks it up. So no concerns there. The first thing for today, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge breaks the American League home run record, gets a 60-second home run last night for the Yankees. And first off, congratulations to him. I don't care what era, what situation. It's an amazing accomplishment. But of course, social media being what it is, the sports world being what it is, it's immediately divided into two camps, just like everything else. And you have, of course, the people that are congratulating him and the people that feel that he is the new home run king. Even Roger Maris's son tweeted out that Aaron Judge is the new home run king, and the premise being for the flip side of that is Bonds, McGuire, and Sosa don't count because of the likely yet unproven idea that they were on steroids at the time. Funny story about the Sammy Sosa thing before he got big and got big. I used to have a decent sized baseball card collection, and I was roaming around a card show one time looking to make some trades, small stuff. I had a stack of, I think, 12 Sammy Sosa rookie cards. And I was looking through somebody's dollar box and probably found a couple of Florida Marlins that I wanted. And it said, hey, I'll trade you these Sammy Sosa rookies for a couple of these Marlin cards. And I'll never forget, he looks at me like I had three heads and said, who the hell would want Sammy Sosa rookie cards? Unfortunately for me, at some point, I did find somebody willing to trade the Sammy Sosa rookie cards. So the joke was kind of on me, but it just goes to show you. that you just never know what's going to happen in the sports world. My brother has probably $5,000 worth, $5,000 that he spent on Dante Culpepper cards because he thought that Dante Culpepper was going to be the second coming of Marino. We all know what happened there. So if you were of an adult age when the whole thing was going on with Bonds and McGuire and Sosa, you enjoyed that for what it was. Yes, there was the controversy about possibility of them being on steroids. It's like anything else, I suppose, these days where you can, as an example, any video that you see on Twitter where somebody is talking about the player was out of bounds or it was a strike, whatever it might be, whatever play you're watching on Twitter, it could be the most obvious thing in the world to you that a player stepped out of bounds, but it will still be divided somehow 50-50, with people saying, of course, he stepped out of bounds. And then the other half of the people calling everybody a clown, saying, what are you talking about? He clearly didn't step out of bounds. Nobody can agree on anything. Now, I don't have a dog in this fight, but the first thing I'll say, and this goes across the board, 100% across the board. I don't care what your argument is or what you're arguing for. If you use the clown emoji, if your response is to just simply call someone a clown, you might want to look in the mirror because it just shows an absolute inability to have any coherent argument. If you're going to call someone a clown for their opinion, have enough brain cells, have enough coherence to actually have an opinion of your own. Enough said. Because you've even got people calling Roger Maris's son a clown, etc., for expressing his opinion that Aaron Judge is now the new home run king. Personally, look, personally, I think it's obvious that those guys were on steroids. Just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these three guys just start popping 60 plus home runs out of the park for a limited amount of time, and all of a sudden they stop. However, so like somebody said in the comments, it's tough to argue with the sentiment of, yeah, well, what drug test did they fail? That's a valid argument, right? I think most people look at it and say it's common sense that you can look at them and know that they were on steroids. But if they didn't get caught and they didn't get banned, they didn't get caught and they didn't get banned. And I know that that's a loose way to look at things, right? Because there are the purists to the game who believe that those players should all have asterisks next to their name. Me personally, I just think it's not worth arguing about. Okay. Even if those guys were on steroids, you certainly can't deny the greatness of Barry Bonds. Now, if you want to say somebody like Sosa only got to that level because of the steroids, maybe I can buy that. McGuire was a big home run hitter already. I wouldn't put him on the level with Barry Bonds and what he accomplished. But okay, so let's look at it from the point of view of maybe those guys were on steroids. They still had to hit the ball. They still had to hit the ball. And yes, the extra strength probably helped the ball go further, but they still had to hit the ball. They still had to outsmart the pitcher and know what pitch was coming. They're still great baseball players. If you want to put the little asterisk next to their name, I suppose that's possible. But whatever the official rule, whatever the official book says, is what it is. I don't think it's really worth fighting over. Now, in Judge's case, I think, it's a different era, right? And it's much like football, where people argue about, how where Marino should rank. you can't compare the Marinos and the Jim Kellys and the Warren Moons and the Dan Felts to what these kids are doing today because the game is completely ridiculously different. Watch any Dan Marino highlight film, and you're going to see him take. Dan Marino took 5 hits a game that in today's game would get a guy suspended. It's you just can't compare it. And now, even if you remove the steroids from the equation, the game of baseball is different simply because players are stronger. The knowledge that we have in terms of nutrition and training and the benefit that people have in terms of being able to just watch the replays over and over again and the technology of knowing this pitch was exactly a quarter of an inch here it, there is a much I would love to know how I mean if those guys of Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, if they had the benefit of some of the technology and some of the things that we know about health today, hey, maybe you hit 80, 90 home runs. We don't know. So I'm not a big fan of comparing players in any sport that are from significantly obvious different eras. And I think that's the point. I think you can just simply say, look, Judge is the best home run hitter of our time right now. I think you'd have to put Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds into their own era and time, and then move back with with Babe Ruth, with Roger Maris, and then to a lesser extent, and maybe even a different time period with the Reggie Jacksons of the worlds. Uh, it's okay to say the game has changed and the players have changed and yeah, the bases are still the same distance apart. The pitcher still has to throw the ball the same distance. But especially in today's world with the technology that's available to these guys to be able to really look over exactly what they're doing on in their swings and their throwing motions and added in the extra knowledge that we have in terms of how to properly train. Stu, my partner Stu, has told the story 1,000 times about how the hockey players back in the 60s and 70s, they were smoking cigarettes sometimes in the locker room. So to compare a guy, to compare somebody's speed from back then to now in the hockey world, it's impossible to do. It's sad to see people arguing about it. Why do we have to fight over who is the greatest? Can we not just have a list of these guys were great? Bonds, I'm not saying I don't care if he was on steroids. I enjoyed watching him play because the hate never got to him. And that resonates with me on a personal level. Okay? Any 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 content creator that gets to any certain size, more than a few hundred people, you're going to start dealing with hate. And if you can continue to do what you're doing at a high level and block out the haters, I don't care what you're doing to get through it, you're doing something right. So I'm not gonna sit here from my seat and judge a Bonds or a Sosa or a McGuire for doing something that bothers a lot of people if they did it. Okay. And if they've ever admitted it, I'm not aware of it. So don't flame me in the comments. I'm giving you my opinion. If any of those guys have ever said, yeah, that's what we did, it's still if the records count, the records count. That's my take on it. And congratulations to Aaron Judge. So the next thing going on that I wanted to talk about is the whole thing with Tom Brady and the falling apart of his marriage and his family. And again, this is a guy that I'm not, I'm a Dolphin fan, so I'm aware of the hate that he's taken over the years. And I think the longer that he's played, more people like myself have transferred. I hate that guy. You have to give him credit. Not a fan, right? But you have to give him credit for what he's been able to do. And but I can empathize with him in a certain specific way because number one, in my age, let's put it this way, I'm a lot closer to Tom Brady's age than I am to most of the people that watch my videos. Okay, let's see, 45. I'm 51, so I can completely empathize and see the situation that he's going through. The other part to that is I've been a stay-at-home, work-at-home father for 23 years. 23, yeah, closing in on 24. So I understand the difference in the lifestyle and the stress that comes with that. Now, of course, Tom Brady, it's not going to have to be, like a stay-at-home dad. That's not what I'm saying. But when you are used to being gone a lot, when you are used to having a certain way that your life is, and all of a sudden your wife is there all the time and your kids are there all the time. From the outside, people say, oh, okay, this must be great. Now he can get to spend time with his family. Sometimes the thing that has kept things good between a couple, or sometimes the thing that has kept the relationship good between teenagers and their parents is the lack of time together, where the time that you're getting together is high quality time, but you're not on top of each other all day, every day, right? Especially when it comes to relationships. Sometimes less is more. And I can definitely speak to that. So we all could tell that there was obviously something going on because he retires and then he unretires. And then, you've seen how he's shown up to camp and he doesn't look like himself. He's not acting like himself. Again, I can empathize with that. I don't think he's sick. I think he's emotionally drained because I think he still wants to play football, and he probably has a lot of voices coming at him from the outside, telling him, "Hey, Tom, man, it's probably time. Why don't you hang with the wife, have fun with your kids?" And it's not what genuinely moves him, and that's okay. Not every parent is meant to be super dad or super mom, okay? And I'm not saying that he's not a good father, saying that sometimes the way it has been working that way because it works. Not everybody can just quit their job and just suddenly have all this extra time with their family. Many times the same thing happens with older couples, when it's just them by themselves and maybe the wife has been at home, stay-at-home mom, and all of a sudden the man is 60 and he retires and all of a sudden they're together all the time, and I've seen it personally where after a while, the woman is like, "You're going to go back to go get a part-time job. Go join a bowling league. Go do something to get out of the house, please." They're not used to being on top of each other all the time. And it's not always the way a relationship works where you should be with that person all the time. They both had very successful careers. They've been doing it this long separately. And my guess is that when Tom started staying home more, some of the issues started creeping up that maybe, you know, weren't really at the forefront when they weren't spending as much time together, right? I mean, everybody's got that friend. Everybody has that friend that you see every couple of months, right? And you really enjoy your time. And when you hang with them, it's for 4 hours. And by the third hour, you're going, all right, I'm just about ready to end. I've had enough. I love you. I love you. You're my friend. But this is why I only see you once every couple of months. I'm not saying that's exactly the situation between Tom and his family, but the proof is in the pudding. You've seen a very happy, very successful man. And then as soon as he started staying home more and having to make that transition to whatever the next phase of his life was going to be, he struggled with it. And if he feels clearly he can still play, so how many athletes have their careers cut short? Dan Marino would have loved to have still played, but his body broke down. How many athletes, especially in football, get their careers cut short? And Tom Brady has put in a tremendous amount of work, effort, and sacrifice to be able to be in the position to still play at this age. So what? He's just going to quit and say all that work and effort was for nothing? Why would he stop playing until, before his body says, "That's it, Tom, it's time"? Why would he do that? I believe he felt the pressure to do the right thing by his family, and that's why he retired. I don't believe that he really ever was ready. I think that's clear at this point. And I think from the result that we're seeing now with the situation between him and his wife, that it was probably more of the family's idea to say, "Hey, come on, Dad, come on back home. We want to hang with you." And there's nothing wrong with that either. But if the man's not ready, the man's not ready. I don't know the details. I'm not going to try to guess in terms of, what led to the situation we're in now. But I guess the point there is that again on social media, I'm seeing um, a lot of people being critical of Tom, saying they basically that he's throwing away his marriage and throwing away his family to have one more year of football. But you have to look at it from the other point of view too. With all the work that he's done to be able to play at this age, is he just supposed to throw that away as well? He can still play. So I hope my hope for that situation is that he finishes playing this year. I do believe it's inevitable, in my opinion, that the emotional stress of what's going on now will lead to him not wanting to play again next season. And maybe he can salvage things. Maybe they'll be able to salvage things. It would be a high profile divorce. It would not happen quickly. So maybe if he has the success he wants this year and walks away, maybe he can reconcile and fix that situation. But again, it's one of those things where you just see it instantly divided into two camps. And it's a shame to see that, this is as an aside, it's a shame to see. I wrote an article for the website that I have, flyingfluffy.com. I wrote an article a couple of days ago about the successful division of the NFL fan base. And it talked about how it used to just be Dolphin fans would fight with Jet fans, and now all the fan bases fight with each other because everybody just demands that their opinion be the only one that's accepted, and anybody with a different opinion, they get the clown emoji. It's incredible to watch. So moving on to the next subject, Tua. This is what do I got here? Yeah, I've got Tua. I've got a little bit about Elon Musk, and then I have a stupid story at the end. It's not my stupid, by the way. The Tua situation, I'm not going to go on and on and on about it because everybody's written about it. I've written about it. We've all made videos about it. I'm glad to hear that he's taken the week off, even if he's ready to play. It's one of those rare, rare situations, in my opinion, where you know what? We're just gonna sit you for a week, just to calm some of this down. I don't like it, and I don't think it should be the rule. I think a moment like this should be the exception. And I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's physically ready. But I do believe that in this situation, under these circumstances, for everybody's sanity, even if the doctors say he was ready, I believe he should sit And I know that that's going to get a bit of a side eye, reaction. Again, in general, I would even disagree with my own opinion there, but I think right now, just to, and I'm not even justifying that it should be this big of a deal, but sometimes you just have to do something to calm things down. If that kid, even if the doctors say that he's ready, if for some reason he went out there again against the Jets and got hurt again in the same way, then you'd be talking about a situation that would blow up to the point where I believe the NFL itself would start being in jeopardy. I believe that the certain segment of there's a certain segment, we'll just call it that has been trying to cancel the NFL for quite some time because the NFL is a violent sport. And I just feel like if something were to happen to Tua again in the Jets week where he didn't even take a week off, I think it would just add too much fuel to a fire that some people seem just desperate to light. And we've seen that the NFL Players Association fired the independent neurologist. We don't know the full story, but if you want to know the full story, just go on Twitter. There's plenty of people that are 100% sure that they know what happened. And if you disagree with them, what do you get? The clown emoji. It's incredible. So from a NFL fan standpoint, I'm happy that he's sitting. In some ways, I'd almost prefer them to say he could play, but we're going to sit him just to shut some people up, right? Because for a while there, the criticism directed at the Miami Dolphins, it's not fun. It's I don't make a lot of Dolphins content. I mainly just write the articles, but I know some of the content creators were being called names that were less than friendly just for being supporters of the Dolphins. Now, I can relate to that because as the Panthers guy, when the whole thing went down with Joel Quenville last year, I didn't get a ton of hate. I got some. But I was afraid it was going to be worse than it was. I didn't get a lot, but I got enough for me to kind of go, "Phew, okay, that's all. That's the only people that are going to call me whatever for supporting." Because the day that the report came out about Quenville, I made a video and said, based on what this report says, I don't think he should be fired. And then it was the next day that he got resigned. The next day is when I forget the kid's name, so I apologize. He had the interview, I believe, with ESPN. I'm doing this by memory. The point is that the next day, new information came out that wasn't in the report, and my concern was, oh, geez, they're going to kill me for what I said about the report, but it didn't happen, so I was happy there. But the point is that with all the criticism being levied at the Dolphins, Doug and TD and the other guys that make the Dolphins videos, it's you start really it's a precarious situation because you're trying to provide content for your fans. And at the same time, you're wary, man. If I don't want to step into something here, right? I'm just trying to report the news and provide a little bit of entertainment. So it becomes a sticky situation. So some of that got taken off of the Dolphins when they fired the NFLPA, the independent neurologist. When the report comes out, is that's when we'll know. That's when we'll know. And my hope is that Tua only misses the 1 week and come back and all of this can get blown over. And in terms of the NFL itself, with the whole concussion thing and everything that's coming, it's like anything else now. Are there more guys? And this is a genuine question. Are there more guys getting concussions now, or is it just more awareness? Right? It's like anything else. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, did it, to hear it, did it make a sound? How many of these guys are we only seeing getting, their bell rungs now to where before we, 20 years ago, you would have just said, he's a little woozy and he goes back on and plays to where now there's this hyper focus on it that is it making it seem worse than it really is? I don't know. I don't know. Tua is one of those people that it's no fault of his own. He has, again, you've got this group and you've got this group that have their views on Tua. And, that's the theme, in case you haven't noticed, is that, the divisions that we used to see specifically only in the political world now have just taken completely, fully over on social media and especially on Twitter. So it's not something that I enjoy seeing. And speaking of Twitter, while we're here, not sports related, but you'll find on this show that I'm going to touch on things here or there that aren't exactly sports related. So Elon Musk decides yesterday, all right, you know what? I'll pay full price, and they're going to buy Twitter. And of course, there's people melting down that of how it, what that's going to mean, and of course, there's people concerned because we've got this election coming up in just about a month. I love the chaos. I'm not even going to lie. I absolutely love the chaos. There's a million theories as to why he. My belief and the theory that I subscribe to is that he's screwed Twitter to get discovery on certain things, specifically about the bot percentages and everything like that. And I think what probably happened, again, this is just my working theory, what probably happened is that he looked at, he said, okay, it's Twitter is this percentage of bots. This is how much I would lower my offer price based on that, but it's going to cost me more to litigate it to get the lesser price than it would if I just bought it full price. And he said, okay, that's my take, is that he just wanted to know the true numbers. Now, I don't know what those true numbers are. I've always subscribed to the theory on Twitter that it's a lot more bots than we're being told. Um, Especially in the when you look at some of the responses to the political tweets. Number one, the only way you can have hope for humanity many times is that the responses that you're seeing are bots. That's we'll just start there. And we've all seen those threads where there will be 50 or 100 different Twitter accounts that just have cut and paste the same responses. And again, it's usually in the political realm. So I have my gut feeling, if I had to roll the dice, I would say Twitter's 20 to 30% bots. That would be that, bots and people with multiple accounts that, it's one thing to have a burner account or you have your sports account and you have your political account. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody who, don't like me, so they, create 20 Twitter accounts and, make it look like this massive wave of people coming after me when in reality it's just one. I think you see a lot of that. And I don't think that it is the purview of any one particular political side. Um, I believe that I believe one side makes it really obvious and one side might do a better job of hiding it. We'll put it that way. But I think that's what went on. And what I hope to see is less censorship. I'm not even going to lie about it. Twitter has become, although Twitter is still more usable than Facebook. Now, what happened to my girlfriend the other day? She she posted a picture. You know how there's the memes of like the sharks and the alligators and everything that were in people's houses and rooms in the street after a hurricane. There was somebody that posted a clearly manipulated photo of a alligator in their living room, and she just reshared it on Facebook, laughing about it, and it got taken down for spreading misinformation. And so Facebook is still a lot worse than Twitter has been. Twitter is more of a space where you can kind of say what you want, but you don't know how many bots and how many Cocoa Puffs are going to attack you for your point of view. So in reality, though, I think what you're going to see two things happen there. You're going to see the bots get taken down, but that might make it look more scary because if Elon Musk buys Twitter, which is happening, and then he says, "Okay, we've removed 90% of the bots," then the problem is that you know that the crazy people that you see responding and tweeting are real. So that actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it could be a little bit scarier than I thought. Last story of the day is the stupid of the day. This might be a, we'll see how this works out. This might be a regular feature. The stupid of the day comes from a couple of fishermen at a Lake Erie Walleye Trail fishing tournament. And now this is the oldest trick in the book. And I don't understand. I don't understand. You have to have a certain amount of weight in your fish to win the tournament. Okay. All this trick in the book is to stuff weights down the fish's throat after he's dead. You stuff some weights down there, you weigh the fish, and now it's 6 pounds, 9 ounces instead of 513 like it really is. Something like that. Now that's dumb enough. Now, what these guys also did was they took the time to put other fish fillets down the fish's throat. Okay? And what I don't understand is that, okay, so you're going to cheat. You've made the decision to cheat, right? You want to shove something down the fish's throat that add weight, adds weight to the fish. All right, you're a cheater. What do fish eat? Little fish. They don't eat prepared fillets, however, guys. They eat whole fish. Why not just take some bait? You caught bait. Why not just take five of the bait fish, graze the bait fish along the teeth of the fish that you've caught. You caught the fish, it's got teeth. You take some bait fish, you make it look like these bait fish got chewed up, then you shove them down the fish's throat. Well, how is anybody going to prove you're cheating? You're just going to say, what? That's the fish that my fish was eating before I caught it. I don't understand why you would fillet fish up like you're getting ready to eat it and then shove that down the fish's mouth. If you're going to be stupid, be smart about being stupid. Take some of the bait fish that you got, shove it down his throat, and if they cut open the fish after if you weighed it, if 9, 10 ounces of other little fish come out of the belly, what? Hey, that's the fish he was eating. That's his dinner and his lunch. I can't help that. You can't cut open everybody's bass and see what they've been eating. Stupid, stupid, stupid. If you're gonna be stupid, be smart about it. All right, that's enough for today. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know what your thoughts on it. This might be a little bit shorter than I would normally do, but I just kind of wanted to get this out there, get the ball rolling. Again, I'm not going to promise every single day. I don't know what the response to this is going to be. Uh, we'll carry it forward from there. For those of you who are new to the channel, like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Check out flyingfluffy.com. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys again real soon.